I got the footage back. And it actually wasn't too bad. You know, I had no idea what it was going to look like. I was putting the neutral density filter on the lens. I had it shut all the way. I had purchased 250 instead of 50 film, so I was having to, close the lenses to like 22 and stuff just to be able to shoot in daylight. But, so actually what happened was a lot of the footage ended up underexposed. And that's not too bad. I was surprised. I got the place to develop it and scan it for a reasonable price, and they were pretty awesome. The thing that surprised me when I first watched the footage when it came back was how noisy it was. I think that the underexposure probably caused the footage to be noisy. I think that the scanner introduced some noise as well. And then I also think that the 250 film has a coarser grain than the 50, so that probably introduced some noise also. I used a program called Neat Video Noise Reduction, and it's pretty cool because you sample a section of the noise on the image, and then it analyzes the image and removes the noise intelligently, or at least I think it's intelligent. Davinci Resolve, on the other hand, it has noise reduction, but you're basically just choosing the amount of reduction that you want to do. And I don't know if it's analyzing the image or not, or just applying the same algorithm to the whole thing. When I tried to use that with the film, it didn't work as well as the Neat Video plugin. And I have a plugin for Final Cut Pro, and that's what I used. I think the Neat Video thing was like $100. I used it in Space Trucker Bruce because a lot of the shots that we did the lighting level was too low, and it introduced a whole bunch of video noise. So the only drawback is you lose a little bit of resolution with it. The image, if it's a little noisy, it's a little bit, there's a little more detail. And then once you've removed the noise, it's trying to smooth out the noise, and you also lose a little bit of the detail as well. All right, so let's take a look at some of this video. This is out at Lena Point. My friend Berger and I hiked out there. We put a neutral density filter on the camera, and the lens is at f/22, and it seems to work. Here's a shot of a boat. And here's kind of it's going down the bank, and it gets a little bit lighter, and what it's doing is the camera at this point was going faster and then slower, and then faster and slower. It was having speed issues. When it gets slower, it gets a little brighter. So see, the way I'm running is all kind of animated because the camera's actually going slower and faster and slower and faster. This is the first shot that I did when I first loaded the film in my yard, and just make sure the camera was working. This is my favorite. It's the Mendenhall Nugget Falls, and I mean, look how good that turned out. Mendenhall Glacier. This was a little underexposed. And then this is my son, only a couple of frames at the end of the roll. This is downtown Juneau, and this turned out pretty good. I didn't have a filter on for this. It was just, lens was shut all the way. And now it's kind of the bad footage. See, this was way underexposed. I brightened it up in the in my program, my color correction program, but it still looks pretty horrible. And that's what all that noise is because it's so incredibly underexposed. And this would have been a really good shot if it hadn't been underexposed. And this shot's really nice too, but also very underexposed, so it's full of noise. And once again, underexposed, noisy shot. But I won't make this underexposure problem in the future. I'm just going to overexpose, if anything. I'll go in that direction, because film is supposed to like light. And these shots would have been so much nicer if I'd overexposed them. So anyway, I had a lot of fun shooting 16mm film. Unfortunately, it's kind of expensive to do. I think it cost me $125 total to buy the film, shoot with it, mail it to the processing place, and get it processed and then have it mailed back. And that's a lot of money for 3 minutes. Compared to like my Blackmagic Cinema camera, which shoots at about $30 an hour. I think this shoots at $30 or $40 a minute. So I won't be doing too much more of that, but I want to. It was so fun. It was so fun running film and sending it off to the lab and seeing it come back. And I want to do more. I have to figure out a cheap way to do this. That's going to be my goal. I got to figure out a cheap way to shoot and develop film.